drinking the coffee this morning. I'm tired. And I'll tell you why I'm tired. Because this is one of the downfalls of being a prepper. With all this, I guess, security stuff and hardening of your home. In the spring here, animals start to get really active, the nocturnal animals. And we've had a good warm up here this week. And, we've got coyote, we've got fox, we've got skunks and raccoons, and we've got a few feral cats running around the neighborhood, who knows what else. And they really start to get active this time of year at night. And I've got all these perimeter alarms and motion detectors in the yard that usually work. You know, they're perfect about 90% of the time, but they will pick up the deer and some of the other larger animals like the fox and even raccoons, big raccoons that we have here running around. And I don't know, I woke up maybe at midnight last night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You know, I feel like it's good practice, but it is probably one of the downfalls. Even my wife makes fun of me. She says, she got up this morning and asked me how many raccoons breached the security perimeter last night. A good friend that sends me Florida citrus during Christmas time. And we get a lot of it. He sends me a lot. I have a decent-sized family, and sometimes I just can't eat it all. Now, probably 10 years ago, and this is very typical of a lot of Americans, if it would have started to get bad, I'd just throw it away. And that's how I was, especially when I was even younger. But now I think differently as a prepper. Some of this stuff, like the lemons, they're still good. I could use them in cooking, just kind of starting to turn. And some of the oranges are starting to get some brown spots on them. So what I'm going to do with this, instead of throwing this away, giving a good example of a prepper mentality, I'm not going to let this go to waste. I'm going to spend a few minutes this morning and make some orange marmalade. And more for practice, but also, it's good food and it's cheap. I'm also going to use these reusable canning lids to do it. These are TATTLERs. I think they're the only ones making these right now that I know of. And these were actually given to me by another friend of mine, just to try out. My friend knows I can, and he bought a bunch. He's a prepper, and he wanted me to try these out. Now, this isn't exactly new technology, except for the fact that it's made out of plastic, and plastic is a miracle material. These used to be made out of glass. The canning company used to make glass tops, and you just replace these rubber rings. And this is basically just an updated design where you've got these rubber rings, which you can reuse, by the way, many, many times. And you've got a canning lid that you don't have to throw away. You use them the same way. You just disinfect everything and put the ring around there and the plastic canning lid, and use it the same way that you would with the throwaway metals. So we're going to use some rotting food to make some jelly for my family this morning, and I'm also doing an experiment with these TATTLERs. You guys can check these out. I'll put the link in the info box. Everything very simple. I don't do a lot of measuring with this either, so it doesn't have to be precise. It's about 10 oranges, give or take a few. It doesn't matter what the sizes are, and a couple lemons. And the easiest way that I have found to peel the oranges, because you're going to need both the peel and the pulp, is to quarter them and then peel them off in quarters. And of course, you want to throw away any stems or dark spots or cut them out. The easiest way to get the seeds out of the pulp is to put them in a sieve in a bowl, and then squeeze the pulp out. Save the pulp, of course, and then get rid of your seeds in the bottom of the sieve. Easy. Okay, the next thing is to slice up the peels into thin slices to go into the marmalade. And be careful, if you've been up shooting at raccoons all night, you don't want to chop your fingers off. Pay attention to what you're doing here. The most time-consuming part of it is definitely slicing up the peels. That took about 15 or 20 minutes. I haven't found a good way to do it. Even in the food processor, it just doesn't chop them the way they need to be. So I chop them still by hand. But for the pulp, the easiest way that I've found to de-seed them is just bring them over to that sieve, kind of squeeze them out. You're saving the juice still, and then throw them in your food processor to chop them up. Does that make any sense? It's pretty easy. That gets the seeds out, yet you're still saving the juice that you need, and then putting them in the food processor. I chop them up and then put them into the bowl. You're not going to get all the seeds. It's just not possible. And I think that's part of having the homemade deal, is that not everything is cut to exact proportions, and it gives you that old-fashioned feeling. It's all good. One thing that I found that in the food processor, the seeds kind of come to the top, so if you do miss one, usually you can pick them out at the top right away. But that's how I use the food processor to kind of chop it up, and that's the consistency that I leave it at. Okay, dump all that into your pot. I like to halve the lemons and then thinly slice them. Don't take the peel off those or pulp them. Just thinly slice them. Mix it all together, and then we're going to bring it to a fast, hard boil. All this is real easy for about 5 or 10 minutes. And all we're doing is just making sure we're sterilizing the pulp and skin. We're just making sure there's nothing in it. We're going to kill everything and start the gelling process as well. Okay, hard boil for 5 minutes like that. Make sure it's all mixed up, sweating out all those juices. Just 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm going to shut this off and cover it and put it on my porch where it's cool for 15 to 18 hours, so all day and overnight. Okay, this is the day and the night after. That's what it looks like. And I've already, as soon as I got up this morning with a cup of coffee, I started the dishwasher for the sterilization mode to get the pint jars ready. And now I'm going to add 1.5 quart of water to this and bring it to a hard boil again. And we're going to soften up the rinds to where we want them in order to be edible, I suppose is the best way to put it. Where I want it, I can easily take my wooden spoon and put a rind up against the pot and cut through. So I'm going to shut the heat off. I'm going to get out my food storage sugar. Now this particular bag I put together with my daughter in January of 09. And again, the reason why I'm pointing this out to you is these are great projects to do with your kids. I showed my daughter this morning, that the work that we put away and what we're reaping from that, and she appreciates that. She kind of gets the message. But also, prepping is just a no-lose situation. This sugar that I bought in 09 is a lot cheaper than what you can buy now. So there's always a payoff. There's no lose situation when you're stocking up and bulking up on food. Okay, I've shut the heat off. This is my cook pot and this is my gelling pot. I'm going to measure this out with a 2 cup. This is all I have, a 2 cup Pyrex. And I'm going to measure this out and count the amount of cups. Well, that's 2. You guys get the idea, right? Count these out. Doesn't have to be perfect. 4. Okay, and that's 12 cups total. Actually, almost right on the dot, you know, measuring it with just a 2 cup Pyrex. Now, the original recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar for every cup of the marmalade and orange. I'm going to cut that back to half that. I'm going to do a 1/2 cup to every cup of the mixture, and that seems to work for me. I don't like it that sweet. Okay, and that's 12. 12 half cups to 12 full cups of the marmalade mixture, or fruit mixture, whatever you want to call it. And we're doing double duty here. My wife is making fresh ground whole wheat pancakes with applesauce for the kids. So it's kind of a busy morning here at the stove. Alright, let's boil this up and get it going, and we're going to bring it into a gel. Again, there's no timing on this. Just bring it to a boil and look for it to start gelling. That's what we're waiting for now. And keep an eye on your flapjacks. Now, taste testing it is the way to go with the sugar, and this is still very sweet even with half the sugar. But I want to make sure this gels. So anytime you're putting any kind of jelly or jam or marmalade away and you're going for less sugar, maybe you want to add some pectin. I'm going to put in a pack of pectin and stir that around just to make sure I'm going to get a jelly and not juice. That's the danger with going for more of a low sugar recipe. How do you know when it's ready? Well, I don't know if this is very scientific, but you can tell it just starts to gel up. You don't want it to gel, but you're getting it to the gel point. It takes on a thicker appearance, and the bubbles, they're holding their form longer and kind of splattering as opposed to just boiling. We're about ready to ladle in now. 1/4 inch of headroom. And try not to make a mess because this stuff is like sticky glue. The steel lids, you know, wipe your rims of your jars down, put your rubber ring on the TATTLER plastic lid, and then put it on top, make sure it's sealed, and do that with all. Okay, just hand tight, just like you would with the steel rims. We're going to process these for just 10 minutes. There's always a little bit left in the pot for the kids, don't forget that, that's the best part. For 10 minutes of processing, I got 7 pints of homemade orange marmalade. Now, here's a good prepping point. This cost me a few pennies, literally a few pennies. Mostly everything was free and a little bit of time. Now, if I would have went out and bought 7 pints of orange marmalade, it's definitely not going to break my bank. But that's not what this is all about. Prepping for me is practicing. It's like even when I'm going out snowmobiling with my friends. That is a camaraderie, and it's a form of prepping on its own. Being with these guys, learning how to work with them. It's the same with canning. I don't need to do this, but it's something that's a good prepping skill to learn and practice. And it does, in the long term, save me money. And generally, the food that I prepare tastes better. It's just better. And it teaches my kids a great lesson. It brings that connection back that you can harvest food and prepare it and preserve it. And I want my kids to have that. I want them to hold on to that. Prepping is not a destination. It's an ongoing lifestyle. And that's why I do this. A few words about the TATTLER lids. It's like a no-brainer. It's a little more money out of the gate, but in the long run it's going to save you over and over and over again. The company's been around since the mid-1970s. There's people that have been using the same rings. You can use the same rings and the same lids over and over and over again 100 times. They've been using them for decades, and it's just a good deal. Now I have a ton of stocked up steel lids that I'm going to have to use, but I think this would be a good investment for any prepper, including myself. Now they don't ping like the steel lids do. When they're in the canner or in the processing, they'll puff up, you know, become a bubble, and then when they're under vacuum, you can tell. You know, you're not guessing; it's definitely concave. Now, just to try to cut this off, because I've been on YouTube long enough that I know this is going to happen. Some happy hippie is going to complain about the plastic. Now, these are BPA free. If you're worried about that, you can go to the website and check it out. And you know, the theme of my channel has always been, this is what I'm doing. You know, I don't get into all that other garbage. You know, I use aluminum foil, I use plastic. I think they're miracle items. Anyway, here are my my homemade orange marmalade. Pretty simple recipe, and it is really good. It's worth it. It's like having a little bit of Florida in the house, isn't it? You want to try some? It's cooled off. This is always the most important test, guys. Will the kids eat it? This is really cooled off and already turned into a nice jelly. That's what I was hoping for. I'm glad I put that pectin in. Okay. What do you think?
Delicious.
That's good stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Think we'll eat that? I think so too.